Too quiet, lad. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
We were worried we weren't going to have a huge crowd, but there you are, Lenny. A full house, and a very special welcome to our president, Lenny Abrahamson. We called this a special evening, and we had two things. We wanted to get our new members in, and of course to meet our existing members and to give them a very good welcome. They're great. Our members have been really, really supportive of us right through COVID and right into this year. Things have been very difficult, but coming back now with all our events, it's wonderful to see you all back in, and a very, very thank you to you all for that. And we'd love to see as many of you back in the club. It's wonderful to have you as members, but the real thing is come in and visit us, use the club, and there are some problems we have at the moment, and I'm delighted that our treasurer, Joseph Jerkin, is here with us this evening. Joe has been working behind the scenes on keeping us on the straight and narrow in relation to finance. So I'm not going to say any more, but have a lovely evening, everybody. We have another special thing to do here, which is to unveil Lenny's portrait. That is the other special event we have here this evening. So now I'm just going to call on Brian Gallagher to take Lenny up and unveil the portrait. Brian is the artist, as you all know, who has just done this wonderful portrait of Lenny.
Here we go.
So thanks for asking.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Now we'd like to call on our president to address us this evening. Thank you, Lenny.
Thank you so much, Breed. And thank you so much, Brian. That's it's very hard to know how to react to something like that, which does not happen every day, and it's beautiful, despite it being of me. We'd seen Brian, myself and Monica, who can't be with us unfortunately. Her mother's very ill, but she's sending her good vibes to the room. But we'd been to an event here before where there were some pictures of Brian's, and we'd actually bought one. They're beautiful, so thank you. It's an honour. And I suppose as a storyteller, like, you try to do lots of different things, sometimes to stimulate people and to get them to ask questions and to think about things differently, but also you kind of try to give pleasure. And I just want to say, I'm sure it's nice for me to think of how much pleasure I gave Brian in looking at my photographs. You know, it's nice to do good in the world. I want to echo what Breed said. You know, and I'm back now from bits and pieces, and I'm home and intend to stay. Somebody ringing in. Couldn't make it. I'm really going to use the club a lot more. Just, you know, as Breed said, just to drop in and meet people here and use it as a place that instead of meeting somebody in a cafe or for a pint or whatever, come in here. So there are these lovely events and things that you can sort of kind of get involved with, but it's also just this great space to be in, and there's an atmosphere which goes right back to when it was founded. And so, you know, having been honoured with this kind of role that I have, this title as president, I wanted to try and understand more about the history of the club, and particularly the past presidents. And it's really kind of humbling to be, you know, to see the list that's there. So, you know, right from Ellen Duncan, who was one of the founding members, along with some of the great artists of the period, who was this fascinating sort of you know, she was a gallerist, but she was also, you know, a pioneer in terms of like taking a leading role in the arts in this country as a woman at that time. And then wonderful painter Dermot O'Brien, and then Lennox Robinson, the playwright whose plays I've seen and whose name is, you know, so closely associated with the Abbey. There's such a wonderful tradition. Padraig Collin, the poet, and then Michael Scott, the architect, and then there's a couple of architects down the back looking slightly dodgy. But we have to let them in. It's in the charter of the club, apparently. And then Gladys, whose paintings I've always really liked. There's something incredibly warm about them. And then Thomas Ryan, who I never got to meet and wish I had, who was so kind of deeply connected to the club and was president for 30 years. And I think whose portraits of previous presidents are the sort of, that's the thing which has created this tradition, which I'm so happy that Brian is now taken on, and that I'm very proud to have been added to that. So just to say, it's particularly lovely to have the place full. Let's try to make it full a lot. And in the coming, you know, heading into Christmas and then next year, let's try to sort of continue that involvement and build that community, because it's so important for all of us. I want to thank particularly Reid for organising tonight and for everything that she did. It could not function without her. And to thank also Joe, who I hadn't met before, Joe Durkin, our treasurer. So yes, thank you for having me. It's an honour to be here, and I look forward to meeting you all over the coming months and having lots of chats and good times in the club. Thank you.
Now I'd just like to call on Joe Durkin just to say a few words of welcome, and to just apologies from our chairman John Lynch. Unfortunately, John couldn't be with us this evening, and we wish John very well. He hasn't been that well, so we wish him well. And we ask Joe now to say a few words. Thank you.
Thanks, Reid. I'm sure I should thank you. Normally I'm not asked to talk at these things. I think they're afraid I'll start talking about money, what we need. But in fact, I'm delighted to do it, because in the sense what we have tonight, were two formal and I suppose one informal gathering. The main formal one, of course, was the unveiling of this wonderful picture, I suppose. Portrait, wonderful portrait. And it'll fit there in the Pantheon, and going up and down the stairs, so we'll be looking at you every day that we're in. The second formal part of the evening was, of course, to welcome new members, and we're delighted to see a significant number of new members here, because the club depends upon continuous flow of people coming through. We get on, we get old, we can't handle it, but we like to think it keeps going on, and it has gone on for an awful long time, and it will continue, I'm sure. And then, of course, the third, which isn't formal,